Here's Bush signing the USA Patriot Act that literally eviscerated the Constitution and Bill of Rights. Section 213 delays warrants. It means they can sneak in your house for any reason, take whatever they want, and never even tell you they were there. But you're like, oh, that's okay. There's a sunset clause. Well, if you look at that subsection, all of the key areas that violate your constitutional rights, there are no sunset provisions. Out of 1,016 sections, 802 has to be the most frightening. You see, the definition of domestic terrorism is anyone that is involved in acts dangerous to human life that are a violation of the criminal laws of the United States or of any state. Under their definition, jaywalking is now a terrorist action. This is an absolute outrage. The people that pass this legislation, in truth, are the real terrorists, the real criminals engaging in sedition against our constitutional republic. Congressman Ron Paul said that none of the Congress was allowed to even read the bill and threatened by the White House that they wouldn't be patriots if they didn't sign it. He said the founding fathers revolted over much lighter forms of tyranny.
Unfortunately, we may not always be able to tell you why that agent or agents are knocking on your door. Is there a chance that some of your civil liberties may slip while we guarantee the security of this country? Maybe. Maybe.
Slimeball FBI agents like Steven Steinhauser are all over the country in huge meeting halls telling people they've got to give up their liberty for security. Now we're seeing urban warfare teams pop up in major cities and small towns alike. They like you to believe that this is some new phenomenon that they have to do since September 11th. We're about to go into the evidence of what's been going on in the last decade here in the United States, how they were training the cadres, the groups of officers, to go out and train the massive troops for a total militarized takeover of the United States of America in the name of protecting the population from enemy terrorists. In truth, the military has been training to attack the American population. Back in 1999, Texas got hit by 6 black helicopter raids, police stations on fire, military checkpoints, mayors throwing them out of their cities, police chiefs going public. We had Czechoslovakian troops running around firing automatic weapons. And this was not a drill. This was to condition the public, to acclimate them to accept the military with foreign troops working with our local police. You're witnessing actual footage of Delta Force troops, U.S. Special Forces with Czechoslovakian troops running around in downtown Kingsville, setting fire to local structures. I thought black helicopters didn't exist.
From Fort Bragg?
Yeah.
Delta Force?
Yeah.
Looking out your window, seeing unmarked helicopters and troops dressed in ninja black troops with assault rifles, it's kind of spooky.
But that's the point of the operation. It's to train the public, the police, and the military that all of this is okay. The military can engage the population. Now, here's the mayor of Port Aransas, and he was extremely upset. Then we'll talk to a police chief of San Antonio.
Nobody wants to get in their business, but we ought to be able to answer questions, especially when they're, flying at dangerously low levels and alerting the citizenry.
The chief of police of San Antonio refused for 2 years to let Delta Force take over the city. When he refused, they just did it anyway. They don't care about local authorities.
Approached me and get me to change my mind. Well, then, when we said no, then some elected officials were contacted to bring pressure to bear. And then offers were made to give money, cash money, to elected officials' charities if they could get us to change our minds. I mean, as one of my deputy chiefs said, in some circles that's called bribery in and around the San Antonio area, but we're not allowed to do them here. Next time, I'm still getting contacted by various officials. I mean, they never would take no for an answer.
So they weren't respecting your jurisdiction?
They were not respecting our jurisdiction. I don't think they respected our decision to go into predominantly minority areas of the city where we had vacant warehouses and buildings and try to do those types of exercises at those locations in the middle of the night.
Oh, I'm sorry, middle of the night?
In the middle of the night. Sometime between 9 p.m. and midnight. People become frightened. And we do a lot of our decision-making on experiences that have happened in a lot of other cities. We were very concerned with some things that have happened over there, and we didn't get any real good, clear answers.
So they were being secretive about it?
Very secretive.
We're just curious about Army Special Operations from Fort Bragg coming here, Delta Force. And we'd like basically to ask some questions about was the public informed beforehand? are y'all aware of the 10th Amendment and posse comitatus and things like that?
No, I'm probably not aware of the 10th Amendment, but I made the decision not to inform the public.
He made the decision not to warn the public or the emergency managers or the police when 8 black helicopters slammed into the town. Here's the chief of police in Alice admitting foreign troops.
Government is training other so-called friendly countries, or?
They are training friendly countries, and I'm not at liberty to give you their names, but I know that they are.
Mm-hmm.
And
they were there in Alice, or a couple weeks ago.
There was some present, yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
The foreign troops were there. Now the NATO aircraft are in our skies, and they get to burn out police stations 3 days after the police pull out. It had to be a proper spectacle for the old folks home across the street. Foreign troops burning out police stations. But that's okay, because it's just for fighting foreign enemies. Well, here's actual footage from Fort Hood, Texas, as the BATF, the gun confiscators, train with the Green Berets for an assault on the Waco compound, the wooden church full of men, women, and children, violating every canon of a free society. The military, with the state police and the BATF, assaulted the Branch Davidians. And then, of course, on April 19th, they actually burned the structure down, full of men, women, and children. The training, the assaults on the population have been going on for over a decade here in the United States, and the death toll is climbing. What's happened to our special forces? What type of cowards have they been twisted into that they go out and attack American citizens, wooden churches full of men, women, and children, and then slough it off as if, oh, well, they're just a bunch of cult members? Whatever happened to live and let live? And whatever happened to the federal law barring troops from assaulting civilians? Whatever happened to the 1878 law, posse comitatus? Unfortunately, it was flushed down the toilet a long time ago.
Well, here we are in Northern California in Oakland, and Marines have come in for Operation Urban Warrior, what should be deemed Operation Desensitization of the Population. And they have their role players, they have their fake camps set up, you name it. We're going to take you in and show you what's happening.
Attention, attention, attention. American forces are here to help. Remain calm. We will not tolerate civil disobedience. Attention, attention, attention. American forces are here to help. Please remain calm. We will not tolerate civil disobedience.
I've made 2 documentary films about the police state and been to dozens of these military training operations where they hire hundreds of role players to beg and scream, "We're Americans, please don't put us in camps, don't take our guns."
As a hostile act. The technologies are what makes you nauseous. In the past, in a situation like that, she might have been shot. In the future, we want to give our Marines non-lethal options where they can say, no, she's not armed, maybe threatening, but I don't want to kill her, or I don't want to kill him, or them. Use your sound wave rifle, I guess you could call it, and down they go.
Yeah, him a prisoner, huh?
Now you're going to see an execution.
Okay, these guys have plastic handcuffs available.
Well, I think
terrorism is being practiced on the residents of the city of Oakland, because many of the retired teachers, retired military people have informed me that they understand what's going on, and it's not anything that relates to humanitarian training whatsoever. This is a psychological, as we in the research community say, this is a psyops. They're preparing people for what is coming, not what is being presented today.
So you're saying they're preparing people to accept it with incrementalism?
That is correct. Like the old frog example. You know, you put the frog in the water and you just gradually continue to raise the heat on the water until the frog is cooked. And that's the way it works.
Of course, that was California in '99. By 2000, they were actually arresting people in Swansboro, North Carolina. And they called it training. Patrolling, taking over the city council, taking over the public buildings, running checkpoints, searching people's cars, taking them to jail, confiscating firearms, and it was in the newspaper. Oh, wow, the Marines are out on the road just helping us, because the government said it wasn't a question of if but when the next terrorist attack was coming in. We were going to have to give up our liberties for security. Remember what the FBI agent said? Are you going to have to give up your rights? Maybe, maybe. Preparing the cadres, searching people's cars, taking people to jail. Is this Russia? Is this Mexico? No, it's the new America.
Search the vehicle right now. Cheerio, this is DP. We copy your last. Stop the vehicle. Have 2 males detained. Keep us abreast of what is going on with the situation. Copy. Roger, I copy.
Well, I'm glad the Marines are learning how to do their police work, and, well, here's 2 of the troublemakers now that they've apprehended.
We showed you California in '99, and, of course, what was happening in North Carolina in 2000 in Swansboro. This is Hebron, Maryland, back in 1998, where they had the children running around in these little white T-shirts, and they were publicly training them to go around and find out where the gun owners were. We interviewed the commander of the Marines, and he admitted they were doing house-to-house searches with volunteers for weapons sweeps. When we talked to the Marines on the ground, they admitted that this was for a domestic takeover, to fight domestic insurgents, patrolling America, taking over the city council, taking over the town hall, working with the local police, total acclimation, total integration, total downtown Moscow, USA. And, of course, they had an obsession with the youth. Large gangs of young children roving around day and night with the police and the Marines looking for the insurgents. And, of course, there were hundreds of them marching around in plain clothes. America needs a secret police, don't we? Understand, this goes against the very grain of what it is to live in the United States. And I'm not against our police or our military. Think tanks, psychological warfare, psyops experts have created a program of incrementalism in the last decade that has brought us to this point in America. And now since September 11th, they have their pretext, their excuse to roll the troops out en masse. They've announced it in the Washington Post. United States Army, 365+ thousand of them to patrol our highways.
Imagine Marines in your backyard, in your front yard, walking down your streets in the middle of the night. Well, you're a patriot, aren't you? Well, I certainly am, but this is a deadly, dangerous precedent that's being set. They're brainwashing our military. Now, if they had nothing to hide, I'm a little confused by their actions. The police began to get more and more aggressive as the night wore on, simply because this average Joe Q citizen was trying to catch some videotape of the bizarre activities.
Oh, nothing. I just said I didn't have it on then anyway. I was talking to you. I didn't have it on. How you doing?
Good evening.
What's that?
It's a good evening. How you doing, Nutso?
Very good. Yourself? How you doing? Not bad. Were you the same guy that was here earlier?
Here's an article from February 2002 as we make this documentary. Marines are occupying multiple cities in the continental United States. And yes, they're engaging in strategic deception against the population. Jenny Holbert, the Marine Corps Warfighting Laboratory spokesperson, told the public that, oh, this is the first time we've done something like this. It's very unusual. We've never been in an American city. We've never done urban warfare training in an American city before. Oh, no, just a couple hundred times. With the local police, again, searching houses, searching cars, doing a mock takeover. The Army War College called for foreign troops to occupy the United States back in 1999. And now George Bush has actually done it. That's an article from the CBC. They want hundreds of thousands of foreign UN troops on our streets. You're not for the terrorists, are you? And they want 350+ thousand U.S. troops to, quote, patrol the U.S., to patrol our highways, our neighborhoods, our communities. In total violation of posse comitatus. They admit that they're actually scrapping the law prohibiting troops. Not that it even matters, they're already militarizing our police. Our team was in Swansboro, North Carolina back in 2000. In February of 2002, 2 Special Forces trainees were killed by a sheriff's deputy. You ask why? They were trying to disarm him. They were trying to take over local law enforcement. This is the new type of training that our military are being given to overthrow the civilian government, the elected government, right here in the United States. And shockingly enough, there were actually 2 cases of this in the same week in North Carolina where they were being trained to overthrow the civilian government.
Over to your right also. This looks like a gaggle, Mr. Wright. Get these lines straight out. Straighten it out. Step to your right. Is your group ready? Sir, yes, sir. Sir, group prepared and ready to go, sir.
Every day in America, militarized SWAT teams kill innocent people, and they're rarely held accountable. More often, they kill their own officers, and still they're not held accountable. What's happening in America? How did they become so militarized? We interviewed a former Marine Corps officer who in 1989, while he was in the Marine Corps, was serving search warrants on American citizens' homes and businesses.
To start at the beginning for us, a little bit about your past, how you first got involved in the military, and some of the things you did, and then later in life, some of the questions that you started raising yourself after you've been a police officer.
Okay. I started out, I joined the Marines, tested real high in the ASVAB, which is the Armed Forces Vocational Aptitude Battery. Did real well in that and was a MP 5800 military police. From that, I was sent over to various duty stations. I still had an interest in civilian law enforcement, so I was able to take part in joint military police and civilian police exercises.
We've seen the urban warfare training all across the country, the black helicopters, the special forces in cities, and it seems like it's been ratcheted up in the last 5 years from just basic training to actual live fire in city streets. What type of relationship did you have with law enforcement when you were in the Marine Corps?
Very cohesive. A lot of interaction. 1988 and 1989, like I told prior, I helped assist in 3 search warrants. A lot of entry team operations, giving civilian law enforcement advice and critiquing how they're doing that, to raid such as crack houses or supposed terrorist organizations as far as multiple entry points of a home, whether it be through the roof, the windows, and front door, or a combination of all at the same time.
So you were actively, as a member of the United States Marine Corps active duty, out with civilian law enforcement serving search warrants to homes?
That's correct. Right. There weren't missions, they were called exercises, but it was actual with real, what we call combatants, real live. It was the real deal, helping execute search warrants. Late 80s, I've actually been on point with an MP5, and I was not in a police uniform. I had a police flak vest on and a police jacket and black BDUs.
And these were obviously drug dealers?
one, maybe.
What were the other raids concerning?
Pawn shop owners. One of them was a pawn shop owner, and the other was for joint working with ATF.
As a member of the Marine Corps, David, you're telling us you raided a civilian business with the BATF going after guns?
It was the business owner's home.
Oh, the business owner's home.
The homes were civilian homes and some upper middle class to white collar homes. One was a warehouse facility.
Later on in life, you got out of the Marine Corps, you got into law enforcement. Is that when you started asking questions once you learned more about the civilian role?
Towards my end in law enforcement, I started getting discouraged with it, yes. That's when I started quitting. But when you're younger and you're trying to achieve and you got all the fancy jewelry on and all the badge and the car with all the nice decals and lights and, you're disillusioned by a lot of different things once reality hits. And just the way law enforcement's changed a lot. It's changing a lot.
How has it changed?
How people perceive law enforcement is more of an occupying army than somebody that's there to be part of that community and help that community. Like I said before in the prior interview, that before people knew the law enforcement officer that patrolled their neighborhood or could go down to the city police department and ask for help, where now it's more of a you're making trouble for yourself by going to report a crime, or just the perception that people have of law enforcement. Now, don't get me wrong, there's some great cops out there, some of the best, and they're still there doing the job, and there's new one comes up there doing the job. But for the most part, it's treated like a occupying army. You're seeing a lot more of the training of putting distance between yourself and the people you're trying to protect.
The new rules of engagement, an us against them mentality. Peace officers are defenders of the people. You bring them a hot cup of coffee, a slice of pie. They help you get the cat out of the tree. That was the old days, before they became the military and then merged with the military. That's before they started patrolling our streets and running our country. That's before the Second Amendment was under attack and, frankly, almost gone. That was before the government started shipping in the heroin and the cocaine to create the societal crises. That was before black helicopter raids in late 2001 on St. Louis. Don't believe us? Call somebody who lives in St. Louis. Of course, then there's the Department of the Army document they gave us back in '99 on the side of the highway at a military checkpoint, where they say, give us a call, local police departments. We'll serve search warrants on your citizens' homes. We'll shoot them.
Our response area is in 77 counties. We're responsible for 77 counties here in Texas.
Oh, really?
So if a local PD needs support, they'll call us.
You're saying there's some people here that we're not allowed to film.
Right. There's some people here that we would ask that, well, hang on for a second. Why would you want that on camera?
Well, because we want to expose the secret police. We want to expose how you're working with the military, how you're running checkpoints on I-35 in central Texas. And it's going on in Iowa, it's going on in Tennessee, the gun confiscations, the SWAT team raids, the fake attacks like this one.
On Saturday, May 12th, at approximately 8:50, an explosive device went off in the Bell County Annex in the 500 block of East 2nd Street in Belton. The Belton Police Department responded to that, as well as the Belton Fire Department and the Belton EMS. The Belton Police Department is currently investigating the cause of the explosion. The explosion took place on the east end of the building, causing several casualties and injuries. The police department has secured the scene and requested assistance from the Fort Hood
Delta team in a psychological warfare program against the people of Central Texas. The whole attack was fake, but they told the public it was real. Again, all part of merging the military and the police.
That's my truck right there.
That's good. Go back over there, get clearance to go back through.
Were you at this scene in Temple?
No, Mike was.
I was. Mike was.
Yeah.
So he put me on the internet.
No, I didn't.
Who put me on the internet?
Well, we put it on.
Do you have a problem with that?
Yes, I do.
Well, it's not me because I don't have anything.
We put it on TV, and then
yeah, it's been on TV.
Okay, because there were pictures on the internet, and somebody put them on there without my permission.
But you got to contact whoever did it.
Okay. Yeah, but that's news.
You're public. You're public.
Yeah, it's news gathering.
Once you're in public.
Once you're in public, I could turn the camera on right now and say, hey, I'm going to put you on TV.
The scary part was, just for asking questions, the police and military were angry at us. We were bad. We weren't going along with creating hysteria.
20 EMS workers have been, or rather DPS workers have gone on ambulances to area hospitals. Some of them have been treated and released now. The rest are in stable condition. EMS tells us another 5 drove themselves to area hospitals, and then they checked out. About 161 people here on the scene.
In 2000 alone in Austin, Texas, there were 8 separate fake bio attacks. They even had a fake nuclear spill and shut down I-35 and called out the National Guard. A couple weeks later, they quietly announced, oh, it was just a drill. But you should have seen the psychosomatic response of the people. Suddenly, hospitals would be jam-packed. The population was buying it.
Stage managed to bid. It's absolutely fake. Stage managed to bid. It's absolutely fake. Stage managed to bid. It's absolutely fake. This is completely fake, ladies and gentlemen. It's absolutely fake, and you know it. This is a fake psychological warfare program against you. Psychological warfare.
Right. Thanks.
Awesome. We're going to fight the New World Order.
Hello, Poppin' SS.
Get it on.
I got it.
Get the searchlights.
Now roll, my friend.
Jawohl!
We all thought this couldn't happen here. It was only Russia or Nazi Germany. But incrementally, they trained us to accept it. Now we have to learn to say no and get in their face. We have dignity. We're human beings. Government's taken over in a parasitic fashion. Did you ever think you'd see the government talking about torture and lauding the virtues of it? Well, now it's actually happening in hundreds of publications, and if you're not for torture, you're with Al-Qaeda. Why, even phony liberals like Alan Dershowitz have been publicly peddling it, telling us it's time for us to reassess our laws and accept torture. But for the terrorist, of course. But the evidence shows that we are now the terrorists. They talk about using cattle prods and rubber hoses on people. And who's going to do the torturing? FEMA, the Ministry of Love.
And that's the Federal Emergency Management Administration.